Namaste, my loves. The wait before we begin has gotten to be kind of fun. Waiting to see who will gather with us today. Good morning. Good morning. And we'll get started in about 2 or 3 minutes. Waiting for us to collect, to gather together. I'm here at my home, our home, Shakti, on the East Coast. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from today. In a few minutes' time, we will collect ourselves as individuals, but also as community. The phrase has been coined by one of the students that checks in regularly with this segment. We're sitting alone together. And I just love that. We're sitting alone together. Right? We need each other. We need to feel each other's support as we attempt to sit in the eye of the storm. You know, so here we are showing up for ourselves, but also showing up for each other with this collective by way of, technology and social media and what have you, that it is our new way. It is our new way of gathering and collecting. I will aspire to simply help us sit. Good morning, Amy. Love you. I will aspire to simply assist us in sitting and in centering as we sit. About another half minute or so, and we'll begin. Good morning, Patrick. Here with you, yes. And I can feel it. I can feel that I am very much not alone. And I hope that that is the same for each and every one of you that choose to tune in. And of course, for those that don't even choose to tune in, that we all feel that we are truly in this together. I think it's pretty important to remind ourselves of that when we get a little lost and feel alone, that we are really in this one together. Okay, let us tune in. Breathe in. Take a few breaths of gratitude. Whatever you can summon up right now. And breathing it into your lungs. This breath of gratitude. Calling us to be more present, potentially more appreciative of what we have in this moment. Namaste. Here we are again. I've been thinking a lot about Shyam Das, who is a great spiritual teacher who passed on about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. And I think I'm thinking about him a lot. He's kind of popping up quite often during my personal sits on my daily sadhana, my daily practice. And I think he's popping up often is because I considered him to be like such this sprightly being, you know. He was just so radiant, so full of love, so true to walking his practice, you know, his practice of complete devotion, his practice of complete love. It just exuded out of him in such a way that he was kind of like this sprightly being that was just always appeared very light. And I think he's been kind of coming up, or, you know, I'm not sure if I'm conjuring him or he's visiting me, or maybe a little bit of both, however it goes, who knows. But I think he's coming up to help remind me to lighten up on these, you know, these very heavier, darker days. And, you know, that's not to say that we shouldn't honor where we're at on those days where we feel just like the walls are closing in, right? We want to honor that time. We want to live in our truth. It's very, very important. But equally important, you know, as we indulge in the heaviness, in the collective grief that we're all experiencing from this crisis, as we continue on with it, which appears like, you know, it's going to be a while, as we continue onward, you know, it is very natural for us to shift out of the collective grief and into something else. I don't know what the next phase is, you know, but basically it's going to involve, how do we walk with this, right? How do we persevere? How do we move forward in any way, shape, or form, right? How do we thrive? How do we continue to live, right? So for me, I think he's coming up to remind me, like, when I'm getting too serious, right? Which I have a tendency to tip to that, like, kind of heavy, serious side. My practice continues to light me up. Thank God that I have that on a daily basis. But my temperament and my tendency as a human being, you know, is to tip to the scale of, you know, things get, you know, heavy. My thoughts get heavy. You know, my mind gets heavy. I can easily become ladened, right, and burdened by this experience right now, which I'm sure I am not alone, right? So, you know, what to do. You honor it, you know, you acknowledge it. But yet I think it's really important that we all have beings, whether they're on the material plane with us or in the spiritual, right, whether they're living or have passed on, that when we think of them, they help lift our spirit. I think it's very important that we start to walk with them in our pockets, if you will. Maybe it's the pocket of the heart or whatever, the pocket of the pant, I don't know. You know, a lot of the work that we do here together at Shakti is cultivating, kind of growing our own very personal bag of tools that we wear on our waist side, that we can, you know, pull out as we need, right? when we get into our states of depression, when we get into our states of anything, right? When we get stuck, right? We all get stuck, right? So one of the things that might go in your tool bag that you walk around, at your wayside through this life, right? Because we all have not stopped living from this crisis, even though we might feel like that at times. We can walk with this tool bag, and in the tool bag might be some of the people in your life that lighten your spirit, that bring you a lift, that bring you a tickle. Whether it's a grandchild and or an artist that's just a great musician. The thing about Sean Das is I open the conversation up, I was in his presence once. But it was enough to impact, right? It was enough to radiate me in such a way that I walk with him now, or he walks with me now, probably, right? So we all have people in our lives that light us up. And we mustn't forget about them, right? We have to train our brain to go to those sources so that the spirit can lighten. Maybe not 24/7. Maybe right now that's just not what's going to happen. But maybe we can insert them into our daily practice, into our daily routine, into our daily ritual, where we think of them. If they're still here on this realm, that we have some sort of connection to them, and or if they're in higher source, that that connection can still be conjured. So who's in your pocket is kind of the question of the day. Who's there to help lighten your load when you feel most heavy and most burdened, right? And most stuck, right? So that we don't get used to, right? That we don't get used to the collapse of the heart, the collapse of the spirit, There's something I feel like I want to add on, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it'll come to me, who knows? I don't feel like I'm done, but I don't know what I have left. I'm listening. So, I know what I wanted to say. It is our responsibility as humans that walk this earth to lift it, right? To lift it. So when our personal spirit is being lifted by way of a giggling child or a beautiful piece of music or conjuring up someone that has passed on that radiates light and lightness of spirit, when we have those moments and we are lit from within and we are lightened from within, we are helping to raise the state of energy right now of this very, very, very heavy, dark time. That really matters. You celebrate one's spirit lifting whenever possible. And once again, that's not to ignore, deny, or shun when you are having your darker moments. You honor them, but then you start to find the tools. Who's in your pocket to help lift and lighten you, because that is medicine, not just for you, the individual, but for us as the collective, right? I think it's pretty safe to say by now we've all been educated enough through this crisis to come to realize contagious energy. And take a few moments to move about in your seat. And give yourself a chance to adjust. breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Again. Right, so something is being outed, something's being alleviated so that you can be lifted again. And when you're ready, settle down into the base of your hips, allowing yourself to drop anchor, to grow roots. And from that root, energy can rise. Slowly elevating through the waist, and generously expanding across the chest, and lightly lifting through the crown. Check in. Be really honest with yourself as you check in. See if you're looking for a result right now. Maybe you could just ask the demand and the agenda to set off to the side, that this isn't time to work anything. This might not even be time to find anything. Maybe this is time to just be in the essence of your breath. Maybe we just watch and wait for it to lift and lighten our spirits. Let's pay particular attention to the inhales. And take a moment to soften inside you. Once again, dissolving the agenda, not taking yourself or your practice or this work or even this time, even just for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, give yourself a respite. Just give yourself a break on the heaviness and the severity of the experience and the situation. Just for 5 minutes. And go to the upper essence of the inhale. Watching it as it slowly rises from the lower self to the higher self. And every time you exhale, maintain the upper essence of the inhale, the lift of the chest. Continuing to pay particular attention to the rise of the inhale, the sense of air, that lightness that comes in and up. Attempting to maintain that light lift as you exhale down. And as you continue to dissolve any kind of result or expectation of what should come of this time, right? Just kind of lightening your load. Just kind of having an experience. Maybe you can call a little assistance from whoever's in your pocket, whoever's there that helps lift your spirit. And if you don't know yet, you got some homework to do later. Just live in the upper essence of your breath. We're just training the eye, right? We're just training the eye on where to go, on what to pay attention to. And softening through the high lungs. Maybe that breath can come in a little slower. Maybe you can go up a little higher. I don't know. Just live in the maybe, live in the possibility, live in the wonder. That's one of the greatest things that impacted me about Sham Das is he was just so sprightly. Just so full of wonder. So full of life. preparing for our lung strengthening exercise. And once again, try not to take it too seriously, right? Most of us have been at it consistently and every day now for a while, so we know it's, we know it's working, we know we're doing it. If you're showing up for the first time, just don't worry about any result. Empty the breath from the underbelly. And breathe in. Retain. Breathe out. Retain. 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 Release the lock of the breath. Maybe move about a little bit. Let that breath go, let it flow. And maybe we just support each other for a few minutes of sitting in such a way that we enjoy the breath. Perhaps continuing to pay particular attention to the upper vasanas that can occur as we inhale, that lightening, that lifting. Maybe it can have an effect on us. Maybe for just a few minutes, we can live in the rising of our spirits. And then open your eyes and just throw your arms up in the air like you just don't care. A couple times. And then keep them up and give them a shake. Lightening through your head. Couple exhales out the mouth. Slowly bring the hands to the heart. Perhaps you sense a bit of vibration, a bit of air bubbly effervescence. So, lightness is part of our scale, right, as we find balance. Right, and balance is essential toward well-being. So if you notice that your scale is tipping to the heavier end right now during this crisis, just remind yourself of any other beings that have inspired, any other beings that have made you laugh, any other beings that lift and lighten you in any way, shape, or form, and call them up, conjure them. Revisit those beautiful memories if you have them, so that we're schooling ourselves in finding as much light as dark, right, as heavy, right? And as we do so, we're helping to elevate the world, the planet right now. This energy matters, right? This energy is contagious. Hands to the heart. And breathe in. Namaste. Thank you for choosing to sit with me. Thank you for choosing to sit with us. I think it does matter and it does help, and if you care to jot, please feel free. I'd love to hear where you're at and if it is serving you. Not that I need the validation, but just that we have this forum to come to support each other in this process, right? Sharing is part of the process, right? As I've been saying, we'll be heading over to do some physical asana practice. Please feel free to join. The way I operate here at Shakti is the way I've been attempting to operate by way of electronics as far as the yoga session goes, which is we come to experience something together. I'm not going to teach you how to do yoga. And I feel like that just really cracks open the mold and makes it available to everybody. So please do not limit yourself from joining us in the physical practice if you feel like you don't know how to do yoga. And I will see you Monday. Tomorrow is my day of rest. I'll be back here Monday through Saturday. Bless you all, love you all. Thank you for tuning. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of this collective. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you live with an easy heart. Namaste.